training, okay? We're doing a 1-step on the trail leg side, okay? We will be working on the dominant side, okay, not the non-dominant. We're gonna tie in everything that we've learned, so let's go over it real quick. I always like to kind of go over it to make sure that y'all understand and we remind ourselves what we're doing. What is the main focuses? Throw it out for me. What are we focusing on? Positioning. Power position. Timing. In sync, exactly. Making sure that the timing is actually, you're early enough, right? You want to be on time, so we're not pulling late when we're ready in the air, okay? For the 1-step, it's probably one of the most, I would say, challenging drills, just because you have to continue to create force the whole time. And that load and deload are going to be like imperative that we keep that power position for real, okay? Because the moment that you shift away on this drill, you will probably not make it to the next hurdle, okay? So what I want y'all to really, really focus on is when you're finishing off with the trail leg, right? Just really make sure that you're keeping your body here, and when you're pushing off of that leg, you have to make sure that you get that leap arm back ready for that next pop over, okay? If we land and then we think arm up, we're gonna be late. Okay, so as soon as we're coming and that trail leg hits the ground, you're already bringing that arm up and you're prepared again to pull and make that exchange again, okay? Think about loading a little bit longer on this drill. So it's gonna feel like you're probably on the ground a little bit longer with that trail leg pushing off, just because I want the recoil on that trail leg to be quick, okay? It may feel a little bit long on the impulse, but then I want that cycle through of that trail leg to be fast, over the top. Does that make sense? And like I said, we'll float around. We'll make sure that everybody's doing it correctly, or whoever needs help, please just ask. There's enough coaches here that we can pull you off to the side if you don't feel comfortable or fully understand it, and maybe give you a few little cues to kind of help you along the way, okay? So we're not gonna over drill you today either, I promise, okay? Because we're gonna spend most of our time over there. So let's do, how many should we do? Like 3? Yeah, let's do 3, okay? You're running and approaching, okay? We're not approaching like this. We're approaching forward, okay? So we're here, and we're pulling through. We're going to be doing a 3-step trail leg, okay? So just on the trail leg side, that's over the side of the hurdle, not over the hurdle. Same thing is apply now. Make sure that y'all back up and have a little bit more run up, because I need momentum, okay? So what I want y'all to feel like, and I guess it's the easiest way that I can describe it to you, once you generate your momentum to the hurdle, I don't want y'all to give up the momentum, meaning I don't want y'all to pull back just to try to re-engage into it, okay? And when you touch down with that trail leg on the back side of that first hurdle, just think about like a boulder rolling down a hill, right? If it's stationary, and then we let it go, what happens as it starts to go down?
Gains momentum.
It picks up momentum, right? So just almost think about when you're coming off, when you're running off of the hurdle, that you're just kind of rolling right out of it. It should be a complete blend. So I don't want to see anybody just land and then run. I want y'all to land and run and roll off of it right away, okay? Meaning, what am I gonna have to do with my arms between?
Move them.
Right? As soon as I pull, I have to think about drumming as quick as I can to get my feet to start shuffling and turning over, okay? Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that we have enough takeoff distance before that next hurdle, again, to keep that momentum flowing, all right? So it's all about that. We don't want any kind of delays or pauses, okay? It's the same concept. You're jumping off of your trail leg side, okay? So whatever that side is, just think about, okay, if I'm a right leg trail leg lead, right leg trail leg, I'm gonna have my main focus on that leg, okay? Because if I start to think about everything else, it's gonna throw me off. I may even jump off the wrong leg, okay? So when we're going,
Scoot over.
So remember, you're pushing off too. So that trail leg is gonna have a really strong push off, and we're just rolling straight off of it, okay? So here. And here.
Okay, let's try not to.
Better with your arm exchanges, which a lot of you are. Just understand that you have to start to anticipate the hurdle earlier. What does that mean? just reacting to it earlier, right? So if I know that I used to come off the hurdle and my arm would be open and it took me a little bit more time to go into the frequency of it, and now I eliminate that and I go straight into the frequency, that means that hurdle's gonna come up quicker. So the timing that I was used to before is no longer my timing. Meaning, I have to account for that, and then I have to basically remember that I just need to make sure that my lead arm is prepared for that next hurdle earlier, okay? And if I could do that, then I'll be able to continue to carry that momentum through. I don't have any kind of abrupt break motions or anything happening, okay? All right, let's go for it. Like I said, just three of them, and getting to potentially go to school for this. It can be a hope, it can be something that you're striving for, even if it doesn't look like it right now, okay? So Coach Jamie already touched on it a little bit. I'm gonna elaborate on it a little bit more, okay? I have the direct ties in with a lot of these college coaches, okay? A lot of them are my good friends, so I've had a lot of very long conversations with them long before all these rule changes were going to come into effect. Okay, so I'm trying to give y'all all aspects of it, okay? Like Coach Jamie mentioned, do understand that you have options, okay? I know it's always super cool to go to this big branded school, but at the end of the day, you want to remember that it's about the experience that you have at the school, not just what's on your chest, okay? The things that you want to be looking for is making sure that you feel like you're not just a number and it's not just transactional. It is a business, but it doesn't have to feel that way, okay? If you guys are going on visits, not just home visits, okay, or calls, actually go see these campuses if you're interested in them, and then make sure that you're seeing how that engagement is with those coaches too, right? Like, are they planning with you? Have they already looked at your videos and your races? Have they saw how you move, right? Or did they just look at a sheet of paper and say, oh, I like the time, looks pretty interesting, but they don't know anything about you, all right? Those kind of questions, or the way that they're treating you, that matters, okay? If they're just showing you a nice little trophy room, look, this is all the accolades that we have, that's not really going to be conducive to what you guys are doing. You want to understand, how are you planning with me? When I come here, do you plan on plugging me into some of the relays? Like, what does the next few years look like for me? You know what I mean? Ask real questions when you're there, like, because you want to know if you're going to be away from home, you want to feel at home. All right? I don't want nobody just to go somewhere because they think it's an attractive school or something that you always like, then you get there and you're like, I don't really feel this. Okay? So the best read that you're always going to be able to get is when you're in the environment, when you're talking to some of the athletes that have already been there for a few years, some of the upperclassmen, that can kind of run you through it and give you an honest answer on how it really is, right? Because you're going to have some time aside away from the coaches that you can have those conversations. All right, so those are the things that I want y'all to think about, and make sure that you're journaling it too. I always say, if you're going to, let's say you have like 3, 4, 5 visits lined up, okay? Then make a pros and cons list. What did I like? What didn't I like? And then at the end of all those visits, you can sit down with your family and then go over it again and weigh the options of, okay, what am I really feeling like is going to be the best fit for me? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to regret those 4 years or 5 years that you're going to spend there. You want to be like, well, that was an enjoyable time or a stepping stone for me to get ready for life. Because that's what it is. It's just getting you prepared for what's important later, right? Track is going to end at some point anyway. Okay? So, but it doesn't mean that we cannot utilize it. I'm not saying that everybody has to become a professional athlete. But if you can get your schooling paid for and get some assistance on that financial side of it, then look at it as that, okay? But here comes the whole rule stuff that we were talking about, okay? Really more so applies for the real Power 4, Power 5 schools, so big Division I schools, where what happened is back in the day, there wasn't really a limitation on how many people you can have on your roster. Now it's getting to a point where a lot of these schools are having to limit to maybe 40, 42 spots for guys and girls collectively together. Okay? The negative end of that is they've had to, at least for this year, they've had to cut a lot of kids out. So meaning if they had 68 people on that roster, there was a lot of kids getting cut out, at least 18 of those kids. That's not something that they're wanting to do, but they have no choice. They have to. The athletic director said, look, this is the rule. We've decided to go along with this rule change. You're going to have to get rid of the 18 weakest people that we have. It could be that those kids are really good kids, They're just not as good as the other ones that are ahead of them, okay? So that on that side of it, it is a negative because that's a real big chunk of kids that now don't have a home and have to hit the transfer portal. But it's not the end all be all because you have so many other options out there. Meaning you have the D2, you have D3, you have NAIA, don't forget that, okay? And then here's the biggest topic of the day. Understand that there's now, due to the rule changes, junior colleges no longer count against you. Meaning you can do 2 years of junior college and still have your complete 5-year clock when you get to college. So if you play it right, because you're gonna do your basic courses anyway those first 2 years, right? You can get your master's paid for. That's 6 years that you know guaranteed, maybe even 7 that you can get paid for. That wasn't like that back in the day. Back in the day, if you went 2 years to junior college, you only had 2 years of eligibility left when you went to a university or big university, okay? So don't look at that as a negative. That's never a negative. Because at the end of it, remember, you're trying to leave that school with something, right? To continue on your career later. So we got to get that out of our minds that it has to be this or that school. If you go right now and you look at any of these, even let's say D1, and you look at the NCAA championships, right? Go down the list of that and you'll start to see some schools that you probably even know existed. Meaning they all have that exact same path to the same place. So whether you're at a USC, a Tennessee, a BYU, or you're at a, I don't know, name of school, whatever that we don't even really know, right? Y'all are all gonna have that same, if you make it through, you still have that same starting place at the NCAA final if you make it that far, okay? We had a girl right now where my daughter's going to Tarleton State, which is in Texas, close to Dallas, Texas. We just had a girl, she's a dual athlete, so she played soccer and ran track. She didn't even have an off season, ended up running 11:01 as a sophomore, okay? Victoria Cameron is her name. Little redhead girl. You would never think that she's like that, but she's really like that, okay? And so now you have this Tarleton State girl in the final, you know what I'm saying? Which is probably the only person that looked like she looks in that final, all right? So again, it does not matter where you come from. The reason why she was successful is because she had a big support system through it all. They didn't give her extra pressure because she was playing soccer and she didn't have a full track off season. They took her where she was at. We said, we respect that. Let's build from here. We're going to use indoor just to kind of get you acclimated into things. I'm not going to overrun you. I'm not going to throw you in no 200 meters. We're just going to do some 60-meter work, maybe put you in a few 4x4s because it's not going to take too much out of your legs on these bank tracks. And then just prep you for the outdoor season. You know what I mean? And when somebody really cares about you and they're not just trying to get points, then that's going to preserve your body as you're trying to navigate through these seasons because those college seasons are long, y'all. Okay? Like, you're running a lot. So just be mindful of that and understand that you're just trying to find the best suitable fit for you. Okay? What else was there? Let me think. Cross the limits, we talked about that. Coaching too. Coaching is not how it used to be either. You have a lot of big Power 4, Power 5 coaches that have now stepped down and took roles at Division II schools, NAIA schools, smaller division schools. So these coaches know what they're doing. Okay, you have to not, of course, find a suitable fit that's going to fit your event, right? You can't just go blind into something, so you got to do your research there. But don't think that because you're at a D2 school that my coach isn't going to be good enough. It's not true, because if that was the case, we wouldn't have D2 kids running under 10 seconds in 100 meters, and it's a lot of them doing it. You see what I'm saying? So just keep an open mind is all I'm asking, okay? And if y'all have questions, again, y'all have access to me. Okay, this is my extended family now. So if y'all have any college questions along the way and you need help, and you say, hey coach, I'm interested in this school, what do you think about this school? Please contact me. Okay, so that I can tell you, hey, I would recommend it, or I don't think that program would be suitable. I'll always be honest with you. Okay, but there's nothing that I want y'all to feel alone in, because I don't want y'all to feel lost in it. It's better when you're educated on it and you have those questions answered for yourself so that you can navigate the right way, okay? And you still are very, very young, so do understand that when your parents are trying to help you or your coaches are trying to help you, they're not trying to be a pain in the butt. They're really just looking out for your best interest. They've been on this earth a little bit longer than you, okay? So there are certain things and instincts that they have that you don't necessarily have yet. Okay, so it's not like they're trying to limit you to a school that you're trying to go to. They're just thinking about the bigger play later. All right, does anybody right now have any questions that I can answer? Please ask. This is my last day here. Please ask.
How late is too late to get in contact with the college as far as?
It's never too late because they're literally always recruiting. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because even if they can't get you in right now in the fall, they can get you in spring. Like I've had athletes that had just finished, they weren't able to sign for some reason. And then I was like, don't even worry about it. We'll just train through the fall and then we'll just get you signed in the spring. That's no problem. We'll just start to get everything situated. It's actually cool because if you do the work now and they know that you're doing the work, they can get all the logistics taken care of, and then it's a smooth transition into the spring for you. There's nothing wrong with starting at a different point. You understand? So it's never too late to reach out. And that's one thing that you can do. You can, if you go to any of the college sites and you go to the staff and they'll have all their contact information on it, their email, write them an email, let them know who you are, let them know that you're interested in the school. You know what I'm saying? Because it's hard right now. They really only have lists to go off of, or some of the meets that they end up going to that they just so happen to see you. If they have an athlete that they know is already interested, then they know to keep an eye out for you and say, hey, what meets will you be at? You know what I'm saying? Because I already have a kid that wants to be in this program. So believe it or not, even if they don't respond right away, I promise, that doesn't mean that they haven't seen it, that they don't care or anything like that. But that's going to give you or put your foot in the door, ensure that you're good to go. And please make sure that y'all are entered or registered in the NCAA clearinghouse. Okay, you need to be registered in it. And I'll probably just send Coach Jamie the link to it and stuff like that so she can maybe forward it. But what that means is, in order to be eligible to be able to be recruited or even go on a visit, you have to be registered in the system. Okay, it's just logistically to cover that. Okay, and it's not hard. What it is, basically, it takes you through a step-to-step process. A lot of it is done through somebody through your school, somebody that has that job to kind of upload your transcripts, you know, and it's like a little checklist that you just go through. You have to answer some questions. Have you ever received money from this and that? You know what I mean? So you just kind of go through a little checklist. But once you're entered in, you're good to go and you're officially registered within the NCAA. Okay? Start that as early as possible if you can. It's not too late if you're a senior or anything like that, but start it early so that you can get that knocked out and focus on your testing or whatever else you guys are doing. Okay? Any other questions? Yes.
How many colleges would you recommend reaching out to?
Just the ones of your interest. Like, I mean, obviously, if you know what you're studying, try to see what their field is like. You know what I mean? Like my son is going for cybersecurity. UTSA has one of the best cybersecurity programs in the country. They're directly tied into Washington, D.C. So, you know, that was one thing that he definitely was looking forward to, but he had other options in case he didn't get in because it's hard to get in or get accepted. You know what I'm saying? So I would there's no real number. I would just say, okay, let me type in the field that my field of study, and then see what pops up and see like where the ratings are too. You know what I mean? Because it's going to look a little different if you have a higher rated school in there and you're graduating from there. Like if I'm doing Harvard Law, chances of me doing something with that is going to be higher probably than somebody just coming from a smaller end school, right? So that would be my suggestion. Just to make sure you do your research, understand where you're going, make sure that they have what you're studying, and then that should be able to allow you to navigate that. Okay. Anything else?
I was going to say too, just lessons learned going through this with my son. It's a lot different now than it used to be on recruiting, and you do have to put forth effort. There's, you know, with social media and different things, like that's used a lot more now than it used to be. And then with the clearinghouse, also like get with that counselor that's helping you or whoever's helping you, because there's also classes usually required, making sure your electives and all the required classes are met, because that'll make a difference getting into the school too.
So on your social media, if you have social media, okay, what I want y'all to do in your bio is make sure that you have your GPA in there, okay, the class in which you're graduating, information that if somebody is actively recruiting you, like all your PRs and stuff need to be in there, okay? That way they have a really quick access to see, instead of having to go to athletics.net or something to try to find you, they can already see like, okay, I have all their stats on here, I know where their GPA is. It makes it easier for recruitment. Okay, so just remember to do that. It needs to just be right here in the bio, clean. And I had a conversation, I usually always have this conversation. If you have like TikTok or something, it's cool if y'all are doing all y'all dances and stuff like that, that's cool, right? But just make sure that it's appropriate stuff in there. Like, you would not believe how many people did not get recruited, like they were going to get recruited. The coaches wanted them. They went and found something on their page that was completely inappropriate, and through that was like, I am definitely not taking this kid in. Okay, it may seem harmless to you guys, but it's serious. Like, if you have some inappropriate stuff on there, you might want to remove it now, okay, to make sure that that doesn't tarnish anything either. All right, there was one more thing that I had. It was important. I can't remember it anymore. It's bothering me. What was it? If I remember it, I'll probably talk to you again right after we're finished. But there is one more thing that I had for you, okay? But if y'all have any more questions, like I said, at any time, just come to me, okay? You're gonna basically, with your shoe, okay, the heel of your foot, you're gonna go 1, and you're gonna go 2. You're gonna have the block all the way in the front. Mind you, the lengths of the blocks are different as well, okay? So you don't want to ever run out of room from front to back block, because you put this one right here first, and then you can't back that one up, and you're in a rush to get your block set, okay? So go ahead and just put that front block in the front already. This is my second, so I went 1 and 2, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take my toe, and it's gonna go to about 3/4 of the block, okay? Meaning I just have a little piece of the block left. Some blocks, and usually the way that they're set up too, is they'll like go up, they'll like dip in, and then come back out. Right where it comes back out and levels out at is where the toe should end up, okay? And then, for the last one, we'll go 3, 2, 3. And then usually, depending on trochanter length, meaning my length from basically my knee to my ankle, because some people have longer ones, like mine's long, some may have shorter ones. It's going to be the difference between front and back block, how far it needs to be from each other, okay? Since I'm pretty long levered, I'm going to probably have mine to where I have it where my toe is like barely touching the block, but most of you are probably going to be with your big toe just on the bottom of it, okay? I will come through and make sure that y'all are set up correctly, okay? So it's going to take some time. The front block, and these settings are a little off, but this one is at 45 degrees. This one will be basically 1 notch up from there, 55. Okay. So now that we have our block set up, okay. Now the back pedal is going to be the one that's pretty much free range. I can maneuver this. I may have to go forward. I may have to go back, but that front leg should be pretty much where it should be at. Okay. So when we go into the block, understand that our Achilles needs to be fully loaded. Okay. We shouldn't have any kind of loose foot on the block. How do I ensure that? There's different ways to get into the block. The way that I like to teach people to get into it so we don't lose the load is I'll have them basically start in with their back pedal first, okay, with my toes slightly touching the ground, and then as I move forward, I'm going to keep the load on that foot, put that front foot down, same thing, and as I lower myself, I'm going to push my body into the block. So I'm pushing back. Do y'all see how loaded this is? Y'all see it? Mm-hmm. That's going to be critical, because now when I go to get situated, I don't want to come here and then this happens and it's loose again, okay? So just make sure that you're fully loaded here. Lower yourself down. And this is kind of one of the critical points for me. People never know sometimes where should my hand placement be. I always say that the shoulder should be directly over the hand so it's neutral. So you don't want to be out here like this, and you don't want to be behind, okay? You just want to be right directly under your shoulder, okay? And then from this position here, this is where it's critical, okay? So you see where my knee is right now, the front leg? I'm not relaxed enough right now. So if I just relax my leg fully, do you see how low it just got? Okay, just gonna make it easier for when I come up, okay? So as I come here into the set position, I'm gonna keep my chin tucked down. So I'm basically looking at this knee, And when I come up, this is usually what happens when I see people come up in the step position. Look at my front leg. Where's my shin angle at? It's too high, right?
Base.
And I'm pushing back, okay? So what I want is when I come up, I want to make sure that I keep my shin angle deep. And you see how I slightly rolled forward? My body naturally, when I come into step position, it slightly shifts forward. That's gonna keep you in that alignment, okay? And so when you're loaded, that's the angle you're looking for. You're just wanting to be here, okay? You're gonna have about 120 degrees on that back leg. Because if you're too straight on it, you're not gonna get a push off of it, okay? So do y'all understand the setup so far before I keep going? Does everybody understand this?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the biggest issue that I run into once I get the setup corrected and I feel like they're not projecting properly, okay? Meaning I want to have good clearance from that first step. So when I go to push out and this back leg is traveling forward, y'all see what that mark is? Or I have to be able to project my knee forward enough to where when I go to attack back, my foot is hitting that mark. You see what I'm saying? So that means my knee is going to have to be a little bit further than that mark, right? So I'm launching basically. So when this foot leaves the ground, this one's going forward. When this one leaves the pedal, I have to really get a good push off of that pedal to get the full extension off of it. We don't want to just push out to where we're like 80% out of the way out and then rush that step down. We're not going to get a full push from there. So, what I want y'all to think about is, this is usually what happens. So when you're in the step position, and I'll kind of just stay up like this so you can see it. Usually what I have happen is, once you start to push off of the block, the hands will start to come off the ground like this, and then they go forward and back. So if I have two movements, and this happens first, and that's the first movement, that means my body is coming up, right? So when I go to finally push out, what's gonna happen with that first step, or with my body? It's gonna pull me back, right? If I'm already going like this, and then my knee is shooting forward, my body's just gonna continue to go up, right? Okay, so how do we make sure or ensure that doesn't happen? We have to sweep, okay? Meaning the first movement of the hand should always be forward and back, forward and back. There should never be a pickup and moving. It should always be straight. One goes straight forward, one goes straight back. So that's the first thing I want you to think about, okay? Because if we start to pick those hands up, it's always gonna be body up. That first foot is gonna land flat. We're not gonna have any negative foot strike on that. All right? So that's going over the hands. So as a hurdler, when we're thinking about short hurdles, right? So 100-meter hurdles, 110-meter hurdles. Those first 3 steps that you take, you have to think powerful steps, okay? Why? Is because I have to, first of all, generate momentum out of a dead position, right? We can agree when I'm in a block, I have no momentum, right? so I have to generate that, okay? Meaning, when I go to drive, in this case, drive my knee forward, okay? All I'm thinking after I get my knee fully punched through is I'm thinking I'm trying to push the track behind me as far as I can, okay? So I'm really loading off first step. So loading off first step, loading off second step, loading off third step, okay? By the time I get to step 4, I've already got some momentum going, meaning I've already covered the ground that I needed to cover. And now in those last 4 steps, I'm just trying to accelerate my momentum, okay? We really only got 3 to 4 steps, depending on who you are, to generate the momentum, the push, okay? So if you are feeling fast right here, we're not pushing. It should feel really slow. If you're really generating force, it should feel super slow on those first 4 steps. And that's the hard part, because when you're like in practice now, when we're training, there's no pressure. But when you get into a meet and you start to feel like you want to spin your wheels here, and then you're wondering why you're opening up before the hurdle and your last step is getting out in front of you, was because our stride pattern and structure isn't correct. So we have to think big to short, because guess what's going to happen after the hurdle, between the hurdle? What are we doing there? Are we long or are we short between the hurdles? So wouldn't it make more sense to make sure that the frequency is matching before the hurdle? what happens before the hurdle should match what happens after the hurdle, right? It would be really weird to be quick and short here, then go long, then try to shift back into short again. Does that make sense? All right, so you want to look at it as like, I'm just gonna push, and then I'm just gonna accelerate. From step 4 to 5, I should already be in the position. That's where you transition your hips into the position that you're gonna take into the hurdle. So from 4 to 5 is probably the last step that I take to where now I'm in that power position that I need to be in. So I'm already in position. I don't have to change anything, right? I'm already here. So from that point, I'm just trying to get my feet down and basically blow straight through that hurdle. I'm trying to take all that momentum through that hurdle. Okay? So that's the actual structure of how you set it up. And I'm glad that the tapes are out here too, because it makes it a lot easier. Do you want to add something to that, please?
No, I was just gonna say, so these cones and the tape marks are something, I love to use the cones in practice, because as a coach, then I can step back and I can see where those steps, like he's talking about, I can see if they're not pushing through steps 1 through 3. A lot of times stuff happens here in step 4 and 5 that makes a huge difference. So as a coach, this is so helpful. And so you guys aren't gonna be looking at the cones. We have these tape marks down that for coaches, these are for you to have that eye so you can exactly see where their foot is landing and where it is compared to that cone. So yeah, anything else you want to add on that?
Is there any questions that y'all have from what has been explained before we start this? Everybody knows what they're doing.
Do you want to talk about low heel?
I was going to talk about one thing. Yeah, we'll do that. Just like, so the other thing we talked yesterday in the 300s about takeoff spot, right? So your takeoff spot is marked here today. Again, you're not like, we don't want you guys sitting staring at these things. We want you guys focusing on your push and your acceleration. But as we talked about, if your takeoff spot is too close, that body is going to adjust, right? That's when we get the pullbacks. That's when we get all of that. If you're too far back in the 3s, I talked to you guys about, sometimes people can get away with it. You don't want to do it, but in the highs, it's pretty hard to get away with taking off too far back. So that's where we're going to be able to help you guys today, especially if you're more of a beginner hurdler and you don't even have your steps down, or if you're a 7-stepper. I know we have at least one. Do we have anybody else that is a 7? Okay, yeah, we've got 1 or 2 of you. We're going to look at that today a little closer to make sure that that really is where you want to be. And then, yeah, did we want to talk about low heel at all?
Low heel, yes.
Yeah.
Y'all know what low heel recovery is? Yeah, who does it? Okay. So, what we don't ever want to happen when we're coming out of a block, especially in those first 3 to 4 steps, because it's not, believe it or not, it's not cycling. You're not supposed to cycle at all those first 3 to 4 steps at all, okay? If you were to think about, I'm right here. Sorry guys, I have to I'll turn around real quick so I can show y'all. So if I'm driving out, right, and my foot is back here, all I'm trying to do, I have to think about the leg levers as my foot and my knee is one unit, and they're traveling together, okay? So it's not a knee goes and then foot comes out. It's literally just knee and toe are traveling forward together, okay? So you see, I'm not doing any of this, right? I'm not picking up my heel. I'm just trying to shoot the toe and my knee. Think about you just like have a pad in front of you and you're just trying to shoot it through that. So you're just trying to go boom, okay? It's a straight line. Your foot is like hovering right over the ground. Your knee is driving forward. And when you get to this point here, all you're trying to do is just attack straight back and you're switching off. So it's a switch, 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 switch. Then once you get up to the step 4 to 5, it starts to kind of have like a low cycle, and now you're starting to kind of get to the point where you're actually retracting underneath yourself, okay? So when we're looking from the side, it should literally look like this, like knee drives forward, foot attacks back. It's like this, not like this. Does that make sense? So a good way to think about it, what I always tell people, I guess as a visual cue, like if I had somebody slide, right, and I put it right here, okay, so I took your slides off your foot, I put it right here, and this is my back leg. If I told you to when your foot comes forward, to put your foot in the slide, what would you do? You just keep your toe up and you slide right into that slide, right? It wouldn't pick up though, right? Because if I went and did this, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna step over the whole slide. So just think about sliding your foot into the slide. Okay, that's probably the easiest way or picture or visual that I can give you. Okay, so you're not just spinning. Second.
Yep. And one last thing on your takeoff spot. I like to talk a lot about brakes and gas pedals. So there's a lot of things we do that brakes us or gas pedals us. Like the power position is obviously a gas pedal. Here is a brake. It's the same thing coming in. Even really experienced hurdlers will come in and they pull back on those last two steps. Okay? You've got to really stay in those gas pedals, power position, and staying here on your foot instead of getting flat or pulling back as you come into the hurdle. And sometimes that's just like a slight fear of the hurdle even. We come in and we start kind of almost bracing for it. Hurdles is all about attacking, okay? Keeping those gas pedals as you come in.
Good, Kiara. Set. Go. Set. Go. Set. Go. I wasn't fast enough.
Leave the hands and your toe that comes down, you're just rolling off of it.
Go.
So, speed up your arms on the last little pieces.
Set. Go. Yes. So yeah, I'll be there starting next week through